What if I told you it's not how much you earn that determines your future, but what you do with it? Every day, millions of people wake up, go to work, earn money, and still remain stuck. Stuck in the same cycle, the same stress, the same financial ceiling. Why? Because earning is only the beginning, not the end. You see, there are people who earn little and build empires, and others who earn a lot but stay broke. The difference isn't luck, it's not talent, it's a mindset, a strategy, a discipline. And today, inspired by the wisdom of Jim Rohn, we're about to uncover the powerful shift that turns ordinary earnings into extraordinary fortune. If you've ever wondered why money seems to slip through your fingers, if you've ever felt like you're working hard but not moving forward, this message is for you. Stay with me until the very end, because the final lesson might completely change the way you see money and your future forever. Lesson 1. It's not about income, it's about management. The seductive myth of the big break or the high salary savior is perhaps the most pervasive lie in modern personal finance. We are conditioned to believe that our financial woes are strictly a function of a low shovel, that if we simply earned an extra $20,000 or $50,000 a year, our debt would vanish and our stress would dissipate. However, Jim Rohn's timeless wisdom pierces through this illusion. It's not what you earn, it's what you keep. This principle suggests that wealth is not a destination reached by a fast car, income, but rather a result of how well you maintain the engine and steer the vehicle, management. Without a mastery of management, a higher income merely acts as a fuel that accelerates your journey toward bankruptcy. This phenomenon, known as lifestyle creep, ensures that as your paycheck grows, your needs magically expand to consume every new cent, leaving you exactly where you started, living paycheck to paycheck, just at a higher price point. To truly grasp this, one must view money through the lens of a steward rather than a consumer. Management is the act of imposing your will onto your currency. When you fail to track your money, you are essentially letting the world decide your financial fate for you. Every subscription you forgot to cancel, every impulsive click-to-buy moment, and every unconsidered meal out represents a leak in your financial boat. You can have the largest sales in the world, a massive income, but if your hull is riddled with holes, you will eventually sink. Management is the process of plugging those holes. It involves the meticulous observation of where every dollar goes, which provides the data necessary to make intentional decisions. Knowledge is power, but in finance, specific knowledge of your own habits is the ultimate leverage. Consider the professional athlete or the lottery winner who nets millions only to find themselves destitute within a decade. Their tragedy isn't a lack of income, it is a catastrophic failure of management. They lacked the internal infrastructure to handle the external influx of wealth. Jim Rohn often suggested that if you cannot manage $100, you will never be able to manage 100,000. The discipline required to save $10 from 100 is the exact same discipline required to save 10,000 from 100,000. Therefore, the training ground for wealth isn't the boardroom or the stock market, it is your monthly budget. It is the boring, unglamorous work of sitting down with a spreadsheet or a piece of paper and telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Furthermore, management is a psychological game as much as a mathematical one. It requires a confrontation with one's ego. Often we spend money we haven't earned to buy things we don't need to impress people we don't like. Effective management demands that we decouple our self-worth from our spending habits. When you master the art of management, you develop a sense of quiet confidence that no luxury car can provide. You realize that wealth is the money you don't see, the money tucked away in accounts, the equity in your home, the peace of mind that comes from knowing you are prepared for an emergency. This control is the true starting point of riches. You cannot grow what you cannot maintain. By proving you are a faithful steward of the small things, you essentially give the universe permission to trust you with the big things. Lesson 2. Pay yourself first. The concept of paying yourself first is the golden rule of wealth accumulation, yet it is diametrically opposed to the way most people operate. The average person receives their paycheck and immediately begins the process of wealth distribution to everyone else but themselves. They pay the landlord, the utility company, the grocery store, and the streaming services. If there happens to be anything left over at the end of the month, they might consider putting it into a savings account. The problem with this leftover strategy is that, due to Parkinson's law, expenses always rise to meet income. If you wait until the end of the month to save, there will almost never be anything left. By paying yourself first, you treat your future self as your most important creditor, ensuring that your long-term security is prioritized over short-term consumption. This habit is less about the specific dollar amount and more about the psychological shift it represents. When you set aside a portion of your income immediately, even if it is only 10%, you are making a profound statement about your value and your future. You are acknowledging that the person who worked 40 hours this week deserves a piece of the harvest more than the corporation selling you a new pair of shoes. This creates a healthy post-scarcity in your remaining budget. By taking your savings off the top, you are forced to be more creative and disciplined with the remaining 90%. Curiously, most people find that they don't even miss the 10% once it's gone. They adapt their lifestyle to the available funds, effectively tricking themselves into building wealth while they sleep. Consistency is the engine that powers this lesson. Wealth is rarely the result of a single massive windfall. It is the product of small mundane actions repeated over long periods. Think of every dollar you pay yourself as a brick. One brick doesn't make a house, and it certainly doesn't provide shelter. However, if you lay one brick every single day without fail, eventually you will have a fortress that no economic storm can blow down. This is the power of compounding interest, which Albert Einstein famously called the eighth wonder of the world. But compounding cannot work its magic if there is no seed capital to work with. Paying yourself first provides that seed. It ensures that you are constantly feeding the machine that will eventually provide you with financial independence. Ultimately, paying yourself first is an act of self-respect. It is the realization that you are not just a cog in the economic machine, working to line the pockets of others. You are a builder, and your primary project is your own life. When you look at your savings account and see it growing, it changes your posture. You no longer walk through the world with the desperation of someone who is one missed paycheck away from disaster. You walk with the poise of someone who has a foundation. This habit becomes a psychological anchor, allowing you to take calculated risks and make better long-term decisions because you aren't operating from a place of scarcity. Your future isn't something that happens to you, it's something you are actively purchasing one paycheck at a time. Lesson 3. Turn income into assets, not liabilities. The fundamental difference between the rich and the middle class is what they choose to buy with their disposable income. Robert Kiyosaki, echoing the philosophies popularized by Jim Rohn, simplified this better than anyone. An asset puts money in your pocket, while a liability takes money out of your pocket. Most people spend their lives collecting liabilities that they mistakenly believe are assets. A brand new car, for instance, is a liability. It depreciates the moment you drive it off the lot and demands ongoing payments for insurance, maintenance, and fuel. True wealth, however, is built by relentlessly converting your labor income into workers' assets. Every dollar you earn should be viewed as a tiny employee. If you spend it on a liability, you've fired that employee. If you invest it in an asset, you've put that employee to work to bring back more dollars. Acquiring assets requires a shift in perspective from what can I buy to what can I own that produces. This could mean dividend-paying stocks, real estate, a side business, or even intellectual property. The goal is to reach a tipping point where the income generated by your assets exceeds your living expenses. This is the true definition of financial freedom. When your workers are earning enough to pay for your housing, food, and travel, you no longer have to sell your time for money. Your time becomes your own. However, reaching this point requires the discipline to delay gratification. It means driving the older car for a few more years so that the money saved can be used to buy shares in a company or a piece of property. It is the choice to be rich in the future rather than looking rich in the present. We must also consider the hidden cost of liabilities. They don't just cost the purchase price, they cost the opportunity of what that money could have become. If you spend $1,000 on a new television, that $1,000 is gone. But if you had invested that $1,000 into a productive asset with a 7% return, it would have doubled every 10 years. In 30 years, that television didn't just cost you $1,000, it cost you $8,000 of future wealth. When you view every purchase through the lens of opportunity cost, your relationship with spending changes. You begin to see the workers you are losing. This doesn't mean you should never enjoy your money, but it does mean you should ensure your army of assets is large enough to support your lifestyle before you start spending the spoils of war. Investing in assets is also about building a diversified portfolio of income streams. In an unpredictable world, relying on a single source of income like a job is a high-risk strategy. By turning your income into various assets, you are creating a safety net. If one industry struggles, your real estate might thrive. If the stock market dips, your small business or specialized skills keep you afloat. Wealthy individuals don't just have more money, they have more types of money coming from more places. They have mastered the art of making their dollars work against the tide of inflation and economic shifts. Your goal should be to become the CEO of your own private investment firm, where your primary job is to allocate capital into areas that promise growth and stability. Lesson 4: Discipline creates freedom. There is a profound irony in the pursuit of freedom. Those who avoid discipline in the name of doing whatever they want usually end up trapped by their own lack of restraint. They are slaves to their impulses, their debt, and their immediate desires. Conversely, those who embrace the rigors of discipline find themselves with the ultimate freedom, the power to choose their path. Discipline is the bridge between your current reality and the wealth you desire. It is the ability to do what you know you should do even when you don't feel like doing it. In the context of finance, discipline is the wall that protects your assets from the constant bombardment of consumer culture. It is the no that you say to 1,000 distractions so that you can say a resounding yes to your long-term vision. Discipline is often viewed as a form of punishment, but Jim Rohn argued that it is actually a form of self-love. When you are disciplined with your spending, you are protecting your future self from the pain of poverty and the stress of uncertainty. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs tons. The regret of a life spent in financial bondage, unable to retire or help others, is a far heavier burden than the minor inconvenience of skipping a luxury purchase today. Discipline allows you to create a gap between an impulse and an action. It gives you the space to ask, does this purchase bring me closer to my goals, or does it take me further away? Without that gap, you are simply a leaf blowing in the wind of marketing and social pressure. Furthermore, discipline is cumulative. When you practice discipline in your finances, it tends to bleed into other areas of your life, your health, your relationships, and your career. It builds a muscle of consistency that makes you more effective in everything you do. Freedom is not the absence of rules. It is the presence of the right rules. By setting a budget, establishing an investment plan, and sticking to it, you are creating a framework within which you can thrive. This framework removes the mental fatigue of having to make 1,000 small decisions every day. You don't have to decide if you can afford the expensive coffee. The discipline of your preset plan has already made that decision for you, leaving your brain free to focus on higher-level problems. Ultimately, the more disciplined you are today, the more options you will have tomorrow. Freedom is the ability to walk away from a job you hate, to travel when you want, and to give generously to causes you believe in. None of these things are possible without the financial foundation that only discipline can build. People who live without discipline are constantly reacting to life, reacting to bills, reacting to emergencies, reacting to the whims of their employers. Disciplined people, however, are proactive. They have designed their lives so that they are in the driver's seat. They understand that true liberation isn't about the ability to spend freely. It's about the power to live life on your own terms, and that power is bought with the currency of self-control. Lesson 5: Personal growth multiplies income. Jim Rohn's most famous maxim is perhaps his most transformative: income rarely exceeds personal development. This principle suggests that your bank account is a mirror reflecting the person you have become. If you want to change the reflection, you don't start by polishing the mirror. You start by changing the person standing in front of it. Most people are focused on the how of earning more, the tactics, the hacks, the shortcuts. But wealth is more about who than how. To earn twice as much, you don't necessarily have to work twice as hard. You have to become twice as valuable to the marketplace. Value is not determined by how much you want, but by the skills, mindset, and character you bring to the table. Investing in yourself is the only investment with a guaranteed return that no government can tax and no market crash can take away. If you lost all your assets tomorrow but kept your knowledge, your work ethic, and your ability to solve problems, you would build your wealth back in record time. This is why the most successful people are lifelong learners. They read books, attend seminars, find mentors, and constantly push the boundaries of their comfort zones. They understand that their brain is the ultimate production facility. If you stop upgrading the software of your mind, your earning potential will inevitably plateau. You cannot solve today's problems with yesterday's thinking, and you certainly cannot reach tomorrow's wealth with a stagnant mindset. Personal growth also involves the development of your character and your philosophy. Wealthy people often have a different philosophy regarding time, risk, and failure than those who struggle. They view failure as a tuition fee for their education rather than a reason to quit. They view time as their most precious commodity, whereas the average person spends time to save money. By growing personally, you begin to adopt the habits and perspectives of the people you wish to emulate. You become a person who attracts opportunity, rather than someone who has to chase it down. Your reputation, your network, and your integrity become multipliers that amplify the results of your labor, making every hour you work more profitable than the last. Finally, you must realize that you are your own greatest asset. Your job is simply a place where you exercise your skills, but your value resides within you. When you focus on becoming more skilled, more disciplined, more compassionate, more visionary, your income will naturally rise to meet your new level of development. It is an organic process. Just as a tree cannot help but grow if it has the right soil and water, a person who is dedicated to constant and never-ending improvement cannot help but see their external circumstances improve. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems, wish for more skills. The pursuit of wealth is at its core the pursuit of the best version of yourself, and the money is simply a byproduct of that evolution. At the end of the day, turning your earnings into a fortune isn't about luck, timing, or even opportunity. It's about transformation. A transformation in how you think, how you act, and how you treat every dollar that comes into your life. Money is a tool, and like any tool, it can build or destroy. It can trap you in cycles or set you free. The difference lies in your decisions. When you manage your income wisely, pay yourself first, invest in assets, stay disciplined, and commit to personal growth, you begin to shift from surviving to thriving. Remember this, wealth is not built overnight, it's built daily, through small, consistent actions that compound over time. So starting today, look at your earnings differently. See them not as an end, but as a beginning, a seed with the potential to grow into something extraordinary. Your future isn't determined by what you earn, but by what you become. And if you apply these lessons, one day you won't just earn money, you'll own your time, your freedom, and your life.